Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're diving into something, well, a bit off the beaten path, let's say.
Definitely.
This comes courtesy of a really interesting mix of materials you sent over. We've got audio clips, YouTube transcripts, PDFs of books and articles, even an image with text. Quite the collection.
Yeah, a real grab bag of formats. But interestingly, they all seem to converge on a core theme.
Exactly. And that theme seems to be this fascinating connection between Discordianism and chaos magic.
Right. Two things that sound maybe a little intimidating or weird at first glance.
For sure. So our mission today is to unpack that. We want to explore the main ideas, the history, the practices, basically get to the heart of how these two concepts intertwine.
And the goal, as always, is for you listening in. We know you like getting up to speed quickly but thoroughly, to have those aha moments without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Consider this your shortcut, your deep dive into a pretty complex, often misunderstood area.
It's definitely got layers and some paradoxes baked right in, but we'll guide you through it.
All right, let's jump in. Discordianism. First thing that pops up is Eris, the Greek goddess of discord.
That's her. She's central. The whole foundational myth revolves around her and that infamous golden apple.
Ah, the apple of discord. Zeus throws a party, doesn't invite Eris because, she brings the drama.
Right, bad move. So she crashes it, well, not literally crashes, but she throws in this golden apple inscribed Callisti, meaning to the fairest.
And that kicks off the whole argument between Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, leads to the judgment of Paris.
And boom, indirectly the Trojan War. All from one little act of discord.
It really sets the stage, doesn't it? How chaos or discord can ripple outwards from something small.
Precisely. Now fast forward to modern Discordianism. This really kicks off in the 1950s.
With these two guys, Omar Ravenhurst and Malaclypse the Younger.
Yep. The origin story is pretty wild. It apparently involves a revelation in a bowling alley.
A bowling alley. Okay.
Yeah, and something about a chimpanzee and a diagram that looked like a sort of yin-yang, but with a pentagon and a golden apple.
Right. Okay. Not your standard religious origin story, then.
Not even close.
Huh.
The story goes, Eris herself appeared, declared them keepers of the sacred Chow, or messiahs of holy chaos, depending on the version, and gave them the core message.
Which was?
Tell constricted humanity that there are no rules unless they choose to invent rules.
No rules unless you invent them. That's quite a mandate.
It is. And from that, they produced the foundational text, the Principia Discordia.
Right. We look through parts of that. It's got a unique tone, very satirical, funny.
Oh, absolutely. It reads like a joke, a parody of religious texts. But woven into that humor are the actual core tenets of Discordianism. It uses comedy to deconstruct rigid thinking.
So this whole idea of it being a religion disguised as a joke or a joke disguised as a religion, that's kind of the point.
That's the paradox right at the heart of it. It challenges what we even think a religion is. There's no strict hierarchy, no central authority. Well, apart from everyone being a pope, if they want.
It's a pope. How does that work?
Exactly. It dismantles the idea of top-down control. People tend to gather in small, informal groups called cabals just to chat and explore ideas. The emphasis is totally on individual freedom.
So it's not about denying order exists entirely.
No, not quite. It's more like seeing order as a temporary state, like a little island in a vast ocean of chaos or discord. Order is something we impose, maybe.
And truth itself is relative.
Yeah, very much so. What's up or down, good or bad, it all depends on your perspective. There's no single absolute truth.
Okay. And then there are the commandments, the pentabarf. These seem pretty pointedly absurd.
The pentabarf, right. Things like, there is no goddess but goddess, and she is your goddess. And the most famous one.
The hot dog rule.
Hot dog rule. That upon reaching illumination, you must go out alone on a Friday and joyously partake of a hot dog.
Just eat a hot dog.
Just eat a hot dog. It's a perfect little poke at dietary laws and ritualistic seriousness, isn't it?
It really is. It perfectly captures that irreverent spirit. And the spirit connects directly to the counterculture movement, right? The 60s.
Absolutely. You see influences from Zen, from Taoism, that questioning of established norms. It fit right in.
And this idea of pure chaos or holy chaos, what's that about? Is it just randomness?
It's presented as something more profound than just simple disorder. It's the state beyond our human concepts of order and disorder. Some sources compared it to Kant's idea of the noumenal world.
The world as it is, beyond our perception.
Kind of like that, yeah. The raw reality before we slap labels and structures onto it. It's the fundamental potential from which both apparent order and apparent disorder arise.
Okay, so it's not just about smashing things up.
No, no, it's more philosophical. And they had tactics for, let's say, nudging reality a bit, Operation Mindfuck.
Right. Little attacks on consensus reality, like that example of sending very serious, well-argued letters demanding catnip be made illegal.
Exactly. Stuff designed purely to make people stop and think, wait, what? Just to jolt them out of their assumptions.
And this relates to the idea of Discordian agents, people who just naturally stir things up.
Yeah, individuals who, maybe without even knowing about Discordianism, just embody that principle.
Yeah.
They introduce randomness, challenge norms, break patterns, sometimes just by being themselves.
The person who does something completely unexpected and kind of chaotic.
Precisely. But there's also a warning in the materials about co-option, isn't there?
Yeah, the idea that even disruptive things like Discordianism itself or memes can get absorbed by the mainstream and lose their edge. They become anaristic, representing apparent order.
Right. The heuristic impulse, the impulse towards apparent chaos or questioning gets smoothed out and becomes just another part of the system, another form of predictable, anaristic, apparent order. It's a constant tension.
So how do you keep the disruptive spirit alive if it's always at risk of being absorbed? Seems tricky.
It's a constant dance, maybe. A refusal to settle into dogma. And that mindset, that embrace of chaos and questioning, provides a really interesting bridge to chaos magic.
Ah, okay. Let's make that connection. Chaos magic. What's the elevator pitch for someone unfamiliar?
Okay, chaos magic is fundamentally a very results-oriented, pragmatic, and adaptable system of magic. It's less about ancient traditions and more about what works for the individual practitioner to create change.
So kind of a pick and mix approach, taking techniques from anywhere if they get results.
That's a big part of it. One key principle is a distinct lack of dogmatism. Chaos magicians actively try to avoid getting stuck in one belief system.
They embrace contradiction, change their minds. Sounds very Discordian.
Exactly. It echoes the Discordian Katma. All affirmations are true in some sense, false in some sense, meaningless in some sense. And the famous phrase often associated with chaos magic, nothing is true, everything is permitted.
Which sounds potentially chaotic, but maybe the emphasis is on the permitted part, the freedom to experiment.
Precisely. And that ties into another core idea. Personal experience is supreme. It's all about doing the magic, testing things out for yourself and seeing what happens. Verification over belief.
Don't just read about it, try it.
Right. Which leads to this concept of meta-belief.
Okay, what's that? Sounds complex.
It's the idea that belief itself is a tool. You can adopt a belief system maybe temporarily because it helps you achieve a magical goal, but you don't have to hold on to it as the absolute capital T truth afterwards.
So you might say work within a framework of Egyptian gods for one ritual and then use sigils based on psychological models the next day.
Exactly. You use the belief system that's most effective for the task at hand without getting permanently attached to any single one. Belief becomes fluid, functional.
Interesting. And desire and belief are still needed during the magic, though.
Oh, absolutely. You need focused desire, knowing what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And you need that state of belief, even if temporary, for the magic to actually, work. You have to commit in the moment.
Got it. And gnosis kept coming up, that altered state of consciousness.
Yes, gnosis is crucial. It's seen as the gateway to magical power. Basically, getting your conscious, chattering mind out of the way.
How do they achieve that?
Generally through two routes. Inhibitory methods like deep meditation, sensory deprivation, extreme focus, or excitatory methods like chanting, dancing, strong emotions, hyperventilation, anything that leads to that no-mind state.
A way to bypass the internal censor, maybe?
That's a good way to put it. And related to that is the idea of disconditioning.
Breaking free from limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
like societal norms, personal hang-ups.
Exactly. Just like in Discordianism, there's a huge emphasis on questioning your own assumptions, identifying those ingrained beliefs that hold you back, and actively working to dismantle them.
Okay. And the materials mention specific figures like Austin Osman Spare and Peter J. Carroll as key developers of chaos magic.
Right. They emerged partly as a reaction against what they saw as overly complex, dogmatic, and often ineffective traditional magic systems.
They wanted something more streamlined, more direct.
Yeah. Spare, especially, focused on sigils and accessing the subconscious. Carroll helped systematize things later. Their approach emphasized that all personal deliberate action is a magical act. It puts agency firmly with the individual.
Agency, right? And sigils seem like a core technique.
Definitely one of the most well-known. Creating a symbol that represents your intent. The sources mention this easy life process.
Let's see. Specify intent. Paths available. Links symbolically. Intense gnosis, acuity, indifference, fire, forget.
That's the one. A structured way to create, charge, and launch a sigil. You distill your desire into a symbol, charge it in a state of gnosis, and then consciously forget about it so your rational mind doesn't interfere.
The forgetting part seems key, letting the subconscious handle it.
It's often considered vital, along with banishing ritual.
Right. Used for clearing space before magic, dealing with obsessions, protection, like a magical hygiene practice.
Good analogy. Wiping the slate clean, energetically speaking.
So, putting it all together, how does Discordianism really underpin chaos magic? What's the core connection?
Well, you can see how Discordianism's fundamental embrace of chaos, its relentless questioning of order, its inherent irreverence, it provides a perfect philosophical soil for chaos magic to grow in.
It sets the stage, gives permission to break the rules, to mix and match beliefs.
Absolutely. That shared emphasis on challenging fixed realities, the playful approach to belief systems,
Ah,
it resonates deeply. The sources mention the romantic notion of the daring political jester.
the trickster archetype again.
Exactly. Questioning authority, playing with reality. That fits both perfectly. The Discordian idea that chaos is fundamental allows the chaos magician to feel justified in, well, messing with reality's parameters.
And even laughter being a banishing tool. That sounds very Discordian and like practical chaos magic.
It totally aligns. Laughter breaks tension, disrupts patterns, shifts perspective. It's a powerful, accessible tool.
What about F Nord? That concept came up too.
F-Nord. That idea of background noise, information that causes unease or discord but goes largely unnoticed consciously. Seeing the Fnords in a Discordian sense is about becoming aware of those hidden anxieties and control mechanisms in society.
And chaos magic is also about seeing behind the curtain, isn't it? Understanding how reality is constructed.
Very much so. Both encourage you to look closely at the processes that shape your perception and your reality and to not just accept things at face value.
So for someone listening, how might they apply some of these ideas? What are the practical takeaways?
Well, keeping a magical diary or journal is highly recommended in chaos magic sources, tracking experiments, results, insights.
paying attention to what actually happened.
Right, and personal experimentation is key. Don't just follow recipes, develop your own techniques, see what clicks for you.
What about pop magic?
Pop magic, or conscious magic, integrated into daily life. Seeing significance in everyday events, using cultural symbols, basically blurring the line between magic and life. Seeing the world itself as charged with potential.
And that idea of non-attachment or disinterest in the results.
Yeah, that's a tricky but important one. Paradoxically, letting go of desperate craving for a result often seems to make it more likely to manifest. It's about acting, launching the intent, and then letting it go, trusting the process.
Less striving, more allowing.
Something like that. And obviously experimenting with trance states, finding ways to achieve gnosis, whether through focus, breath work, sound, whatever works for the individual.
And the view on deities or spirits in chaos magic seems very flexible.
It's extremely flexible. They might be treated as archetypes, as parts of the psyche, as metaphors, or even as constructs within a belief system you're temporarily adopting. The focus is on their utility within the magical operation, not necessarily on their objective reality outside of it.
Wow. Okay. So quite a journey we've taken there.
Definitely. From Eris and the Golden Apple, through the Principia Discordia's playful chaos, the counterculture links, into the core principles of chaos, magic, pragmatism, metabelief, gnosis.
And seeing how that Discordian mindset really provides a philosophical launchpad for the techniques and worldview of chaos magic. Challenging structure, embracing uncertainty, focusing on individual agency, and subjective reality.
It's a potent mix.
So for you listening, we hope this deep dive delivered some of those aha moments we talked about.
Yeah, it's complex stuff, definitely paradoxical at times. But maybe the key takeaway isn't about adopting these labels yourself, but about the encouragement to think critically.
To question your own assumptions, right?
Okay.
And find your own way of understanding the world around you and maybe your own power within it.
Exactly. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. How might embracing a little bit of that holy chaos or playfully adopting a temporary belief system just to see what happens offer you new perspectives?
How might it unlock something new in your own life? Ponder that phrase, nothing is true, everything is permitted. Not as nihilism, but maybe as an invitation.
An invitation to explore the vast possibilities of belief in action. If this sparked your interest, maybe check out the Principia Discordia online, or look into some introductory books on chaos magic. See where it takes you.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.